Hey everybody in the VC, it's Matt, and I wasn't really planning on doing a video today, but I was up at work doing some work and was playing on the internet a little too. Checked in on YouTube and saw that Joe, Mean Mr. Mayo, did a video, not on his Mean Mr. Mayo music channel, but on his Mayo's Marquee movie channel. And topic was, how do you watch movies, or how do you like to watch movies? It's in response to a question by Forkerball, I think, who I know, and also someone else who I'm not familiar with, so I'll need to look that person's channel up. But thought I would make a response. I just kind of following along how Joe's questions on watching movies went. So he said he likes to watch more and more nowadays, watch movies with other people. I'm kind of torn on that, mainly just because my life lately has just been go to work, go home, go to work, go home. Not the most exciting thing, but just don't get out much, don't do much outside of that. So most of the movie watching that I do is just myself, which in a way I kind of like. I like to watch a movie like I read a book, get into it, pay attention to it, sort of focus on it. Not that I don't like to watch movies with other people, or not antisocial or anything like that. I have a buddy of mine, Dennis, who he has a ton of movies. He kind of collects DVDs the way I collect records. So just he, friend of mine from way back when, he works all the time too. So every once in a while we'll get together at his house, some other friends watch a movie. Other than that, I really don't. And it kind of depends on who you watch the movies with. I remember an old girlfriend of mine, who I won't name, who you'd sit down and try to watch a movie with her, and as soon as the movie started, I mean, she was like, and you're like, yeah, and so I don't mind if you're watching, I don't, sort of a complete silence, pay attention to the movie and shut up type person. I'm not that, but don't mind people making comments here and there through the movie. But if it's someone like that, uh, so so I watch movies pretty much alone, just by course of circumstance in my life right now, and I guess I prefer it that way. Though I do, if it's the right people, that I do enjoy watching movies with others. I guess that answers that question. And I might as well just my favorite, my preference on watching movies is to see it on the big screen in the movie theater. I don't go to the movies much anymore. I think in the last 5 to 10 years, I've been to a movie theater 5 to 10 times. I used to, growing up, go every week. Worked at a movie theater for a long time in high school, first couple of years of college, but also went to movies outside of working at a movie theater from the time I was a little kid until, probably 5, 10 years ago. The reason I don't go so much anymore is because I live in Fort Worth, which is a big city, 700,000 plus people, have a ton of movie theaters here most of the time. And they're, movie theaters, when I grew up, you had single screens, double screens. A 6 screen movie theater was a big deal back then. Now all the movie theaters are, 15, 20, whatever screen multiplexes. In spite of that, 99% of the time, all the movie theaters in Fort Worth, Texas play crap, and there's just nothing to see. And I remember in the old days, the newspaper had all the movie theaters and what they were showing at every movie theater. Now you look in the ads and there's like one or two of the theaters still advertise. But when you find out what's playing there, it's just the latest superhero movie of the week. It's the latest Pixar, look for Dory the Fish and the Ice Princess. It's the latest rom-com or gross out comedy or stupid looking action movie crap. And not that some of that stuff isn't okay every once in a while, uh, but I like drama and comedy that's movies about actual people more than anything, I guess. I do like different things, but on the rare occasions when a movie comes out that look, and movies just aren't as good as they used to be. That's not a. I don't hate to make a blanket statement like that, but I don't get as excited about new movies as I used to 10, 20, whatever years ago. I remember getting the magazines or the newspapers would have the movies coming out in the summer, the movies coming out in the Christmas season, and there would be a whole lot of stuff that I'd be all excited about and marked down, looking forward to see. Now, when I see those type of lists, there might be two or three things that look halfway interesting, but the point being that most of the time when something comes out that looks interesting, it doesn't play Fort Worth. I don't know why. We do have at the Modern Art Museum, some of those movies will come and play every Sunday. They have movies and they'll have something like that, but it's just generally just don't have the time or the too lazy to get up and go out there to see them. So those movies come and they play in Dallas. I used to not have a problem driving out to Dallas to see a movie, but I'm old now. I'm grouchy and lazy, and I just not up for getting up and driving 25 miles to see a movie anymore so much. So I don't go to movies very often. So I do prefer the big screen, but and trying to think of the last few movies I saw. I saw The Witch, which played here, which I was surprised that it did. That was a really good movie, I thought. I saw the Beach Boys movie, like that a lot, and I saw something called Love and Friendship, which is another one that I was surprised it played here, which was a really good movie. Probably one of the movies that a lot of people find pretty boring, but I liked it. And I think before that, I'm trying to think a couple of things I had to go see for work, related things that really weren't any good. But last movie I remember seeing was, surely I saw something in between that, was, True Grit, I think, the John Wayne remake, which was a pretty good movie. And that's what, like 5, 10 years ago. And I did see one comedy called Meet the Millers or We're the Millers or something, which was a piece of shit. And I really just not much worth seeing locally, unfortunately. And I don't have a problem with all the superhero movies and all the kids' movies and the gross out comedy stuff. It's just not my thing. I just wish that with as many screens as we have here, they're not going to do it, but it'd be nice if they would dedicate one or two of those screens to playing, other stuff. Because I remember being a kid and I used to go see, Gumball Rally and Legend of Boggy Creek and all that sort of stuff too, and the Disney stuff. But I also would go see Ordinary People and, Raging Bull, sneak into that because I wasn't old enough to, and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, if then was now, those movies wouldn't have played here. They would have just played in Dallas and New York and Chicago and LA, and that's a shame. But anyway, so what I do is I watch most of my movies, well, pretty much all of my movies on Netflix. And as far as not a few DVDs that I own, I own about 20 or so DVDs, not a huge collection. I had back in the old days, I used to buy quite a few VHS tapes, and I buy a lot, not a whole lot, but I had a collection of, I don't know, 50 to 100 maybe, somewhere in that range, which I know a lot of people that have a lot more on DVD and now on VHS then. But it got to the point where I realized that I'd buy them and not watch most of them. Some of them I would, but most of them I wouldn't. And I realized, and this was even before DVDs really showed up, so like back in the early 91, 92 era, that I had a lot of these DVDs that I'd bought because the video stores used to buy a bunch of the new titles, and then when the demand went down, they'd sell them off for $5, $10. So I'd buy them that way, and I'd buy some new when the price went down. I hadn't watched them, and I had a bunch of them that were still in the shrink wrap, and some of them that I'd had for several years just sitting on a shelf. So I thought, well, it's really not worth spending the money on these. So I really only buy things that I really want, like my favorite movies, or some things that didn't show up in the video store, because I kind of like offbeat, and I like popular stuff some, but I also like some of the more below the radar films and stuff. So occasionally I'll buy something like that and some of my old favorites, but don't have a lot of DVDs. So the ones that I do are things I really like, and I will watch those from time to time. Otherwise, it's just on Netflix. And how do I pick what I want to watch? It's more whatever shows up on my Netflix queue, and I've got the streaming to watch some of the things just on the computer. I wish they just put all of them on there. It'd be a lot easier, but I guess licensing and so forth. And I've got the get the disc in the mail, which I tend to be really lazy because I'll get the disc in the mail and it'll sit around for 3 or 4 weeks before I get to watch it. Sometimes I don't even watch it and just end up finally sending it back. But so I just watch what shows up, and I know you can go in and change your queue and move stuff to the top and all. Occasionally I'll do that. But it's frustrating because you'll put something up top and then you'll put something in number 2 and number 3, and the top one will show up, and then you'll look in the number 2 and 3. For some reason on mine anyway, they fall back down to position number 248 or something, and I've got this long list of things in the line there. And it's frustrating because sometimes you'll put something on and it'll take it, if you forget about it, it shows up like 2 years later, and a lot of times I'll get in the mail and I don't even remember putting it on there or what this is, and I'm like, what the hell is this thing? And I finally just gave up, and what shows up in the mail is what I watch. So there's not much rhyme or reason to it otherwise. Occasionally, if there's something, like I said, since a lot of the movies that I want to see don't tend to show up here, and I don't feel like driving to Dallas, I will put them on my Netflix list, because you can do that before they're even released on DVD. And then when I find out that they're out on DVD, I'll move them up to the top because I want to see them. But that's, I don't know that I'm really answering any of these questions coherently or not here, but I just felt like making a video. So that's how I pick my movies, I guess. I did like that Joe was talking about theme weeks back when we were kids, and there would be the afternoon movie and the late night movie on TV, and they would have the Monster Week with Godzilla and all that, and they'd have around Halloween the week with the Dracula and Frankenstein movies. I remember they would have a Beetle Week where they'd show Hard Day's Night and Help and Yellow Submarine, and then they'd have they show Monterey Pop every once in a while, or some kind of thing with other British invasion bands. They'd have the really look forward to every time Bonnie and Clyde was on TV when I was a kid. It was usually late at night, and I'd set the alarm clock and wake up like 1 in the morning and watch it, and that was cool. So yeah, there's that. And that's all I've got written down. So I don't know if I've thoroughly confused everybody or said anything that makes a lick of sense here, but there you go. So I'll be checking in, I hope, soon with some more videos. I hope a little better organized. I know it's been a while since I've done anything, but I just saw the video there by Joe, thought you did a good job on it, and it inspired me to get on here and probably not say much anything. Anyway, have a good weekend, everyone, and we will see you soon.